As a writer, singer, producer and performer, Prince was a force to be reckoned with. When he exploded all over the conservative USA, his gender-bending antics shocked and awed.
Prince was probably the first male star to go on stage wearing bikini briefs. You know, that explicit, in-your-face sexuality is something that people hadn't really done.
And while his talent and sexiness were endless, so was his honesty. He once said Michael Jackson's album was only called bad because there wasn't enough room on the sleeve for pathetic. But mostly he played very well with others, writing classic hits like Sheila E.'s The Glamorous Life, the Bangles' Manic Monday,
Just another manic Monday.
and the iconic Nothing Compares to You.
Nothing compares to you.
Fiercely political, in the 90s, Prince changed his name to an unpronounceable symbol as part of a long beef with his label Warner Brothers and performed with Slave written on his cheek.
That was a pivotal moment in the music industry where he rejected and rebelled the record company by just pushing out all this material in order to get himself out of a contract and actually make the music that he wanted to make.
And then there was his guitar playing.
You were born that way. You don't get to be that way. You can't go to Harvard and become Prince. He was one of the most gifted musical geniuses that we've ever seen come along, and it's a very tragic day.
He, in a lot of ways, is contemporary music. A musical genius, an innovator. He just kept reinventing himself and reinventing what cool was in a lot of ways.
I think there's a little bit of Prince in all of us and all of the artists that we see today.
From pop to rock, funk, soul and R&B, his genius and legacy will never be forgotten.
Now, Darren Hart is a rising star of the Aussie music scene, and partly, I guess, because he met and hung out with the legend himself in 2014. Darren, how did that happen?
Well, basically, Prince found out about me from a lot of YouTube videos that I was doing at the time, me playing live, kind of all the instruments kind of in kind of the same way he used to do it. And he really liked my guitar playing, and one day he got in touch with me via email, and that led to a phone call. And, yeah, he called me up one day and invited me over to spend some time with him at Paisley Park in Minneapolis in the States.
So you tell a story like that, and to us, from a distance, it sounds incredible. It sounds unbelievable that something like that would happen. But as you got to know him more, did you get the sense that's the kind of person he was, that he would do that kind of thing?
Yeah, totally. He was so friendly and genuine to me. He was so down to earth and humble, and he really gave me a lot of encouragement. You know, he really gave me a lot of confidence in what I was doing as a musician at a time when I needed it the most, because, you know, I was ready to quit from what I was going through at the time.
Wow.
So,
when you played at Paisley Park, it wasn't just like hanging out. It was the 30th anniversary gig for Purple Rain. What was that like?
Yeah. Well, it was actually really low-key. You know, Prince didn't really want to make a big fuss about anniversaries and things like that. So he had, you know, a lot of close friends of his there. And I got to play with some session musicians he had there. Yeah, he got to show us all some new music he'd been working on, which turned out to be a new record of his.
So has he influenced your music?
He's probably the biggest influence on my music. I think he was the first one that I really found to have like blended all the genres that I love about music together, like the funk, soul, blues, rock, pop, everything into a unique kind of art. And that's something that I try to strive for in my music, and I think he really influenced that in me.
And Darren, what do you think his legacy will be?
I think for artists like me, you know, he's left a benchmark in guitar playing and keyboard playing, bass playing, songwriting, anything like that. I think musicians can really look up to what he's left for us. He was a very diverse, well-rounded musician, and his guitar playing, it just covers so much different styles and so much different feels and colours. He's just a very colourful guitar player, and I think that's something for us all as guitar players to look up to. And I think he's one of the most influential and creative and inspiring artists of all time.
Colourful player, colourful artist, colourful personality. Colourful is probably the best word you could use to describe him, it really is. Darren, thank you so much for your insights tonight. It's an invaluable perspective.
No, thank you for having me.
Prince also championed female musicians. I think he was maybe the first international pop star who championed female drummers, bass players, guitarists, not just the pretty twins that hung off the sides, but all sorts of great female musicians. Isn't he a beautiful boy?
Oh, and to think that he could have given up.
I know, I know. Now he never can. Now, any time he's thinking about giving up, he has to think.
Prince has got it, leading.
Can I just say, I'm really glad that he mentioned he's a great guitarist, because I think that gets overlooked because of all the flamboyance and the costumes and all that sort of stuff. And I mean, I would do this, but I've always said that Prince is kind of like the American version of Freddie Mercury, and I think it's a similar sort of thing. You get those really flamboyant characters, and you forget they're virtuosic. Like, they really know what they're doing. There's artistry at the start of that. Same with Bowie.
It's like what Biff Warhurst said earlier in the show. She said he was like an elite athlete.
Yes.
And that, to me, that summed it up beautifully.
But he was so beautiful that I was often distracted by that whole image and the costume and the way he was able to blend maleness with femaleness. I probably was distracted from his actual playing for all those reasons.
Yeah, but he's comfortable with you being distracted by that. That's the thing, right? Because you can put the art first.
Absolutely.
And
Well,
everything.
You mentioned Freddie Mercury. To me, Bowie is the one that I see them riding side by side across their careers. Very similar type of characters, and both made massive contributions.
And both resisted commercial pressure at times for the sake of their art. So, a lot in common.
Still heaps more to come, so stick around.
What on earth caused the river to do this? Holy... The fight between farmers and gas companies fires up again. And comedian Nazim Hussain joins us live. You're watching The Project.